Hey everyone, I'm back and today we're going to be talking about Halloween from 2007, and this movie is directed by Rob Zombie, and I didn't think this movie was great. I didn't hate the movie, but unfortunately I do have quite a few issues with it. Normally I go through the positives, and after I'm done with my positives I go into my negatives, but for this movie I'm just going to start from the beginning because I don't know how else to approach this movie other than doing that. And I'm going to start from the beginning and talk about the structure of the film. And I'll bring up the John Carpenter film a few times because it's a remake that it's impossible not to. I kind of wanted to mention the structure of the film. In the first half of the movie, it's just an origin story to Michael Myers and how he grew up and like the people around him, and in the second half it's the story that you know from the John Carpenter Halloween, and really the only stuff that's new in this movie would be that first half and a few other things in the second half, or should I say the last 20 minutes or so, where they change up a few things. And in the first half, I found it to be kind of irritating, and my biggest problem would be with the writing. All of the characters are just really irritating, and it's not that I have anything against like characters that are to be written that way. My problem with that first half is that every single character felt like they were the same character because they all pretty much had the exact same dialogue written for them, and it was really annoying. And whenever a character talked, all I could hear was the writer, and that's a problem I have with throughout the movie, is that the dialogue given to all the characters is just so reminiscent to many other characters that are around said group of characters. Like in the first half of Michael Myers and the Myers family, they pretty much all talk like the same characters, and really in that first half they just keep swearing, and it's just really irritating. And not that I have anything against swearing, it's just that's just one thing that makes them blend together. I enjoyed the violence in this movie. I thought it was nice and bloody, and it doesn't really hold back. So I'll give the movie a little bit of credit for the violence. The sound effects for when someone is getting hit against a wall, for instance, is not good. I'll get into that later, but for now, I'm just going to stick more towards the beginning and how Michael Myers is pretty much being set up. And the movie pretty much opens up with him with a pet rat and like killing it, and he has a hobby of killing animals for some reason. And that's another problem I have with this movie. The violence in this movie, it doesn't make it scarier, like with dead animals or people being like killed in really gory ways. And pretty much anyone who dies is like, it's a bloodbath basically. It doesn't feel scary. It feels like shock value to me, and it wasn't even shocking with how much violence there was in the movie. And it did catch me off guard when one of the characters got their throat slit with a knife. That was the only time it caught me off guard. I was like, oh gosh, that's kind of disturbing. Even though how Michael Myers managed to make that kill happen doesn't really make any sense as to how he pulled it off. But I'll forgive it because it had an effective moment. And now I'm going to talk about the John Carpenter Halloween. And from memory, I believe that movie is like 90 minutes long, and this movie is 20 minutes longer than that movie. While I wasn't bored at any point in this movie, it doesn't need to be longer. It really doesn't. Even with all that extra stuff added into the first half of the movie, just exploring who Michael Myers is and why he does what he does, kind of. It just doesn't add anything for me, because it's scarier with the less that you know, and the more movies you make about something, the less scarier it becomes, because eventually you're just going to learn more about said villain character. And that pretty much happens in this movie. And another problem that I had with this movie, and sure you could criticize the John Carpenter movie for this a little bit, but in comparison, it wasn't nearly as distracting for me. They kind of show Michael Myers' real face, like when he's an adult at a couple points, and you're kind of ruining the mystique of the film, and it's like it doesn't really matter. The point is that it's mysterious. You don't know what he looks like. He could look like anybody, and he takes off his mask, and he's just a really big guy with like really long hair. And also in the context of this movie, when he takes his mask off, it's just so stupid. And in the original film, whenever Michael Myers' his mask is taken off, he just stops and freezes, and he just basically loses all of his power. It's like he likes having his face covered because he doesn't want people to see him. Is like one of many ways you could look at it. But in this movie, it's like the mask doesn't really matter. And I kind of want to talk about the second half of the movie now. And I'm going to get into Laurie Strode. She was pretty unlikable in this movie. I was shocked because in the original film, she's not given much to her, but you get that she's a good person. There are things to like about her. She doesn't like smoking. She thinks cigarettes are gross. And she gets along with people, and I can buy the fact that she is a babysitter that is very respectful to other people, and in that film I could believe that. In this movie, I really don't like her. I found her really irritating, and they make her dialogue like really trashy, and it doesn't work for me. I also didn't really like the music. I thought the music was one of the worst parts of the movie. And I thought the recreated themes from the John Carpenter movie were okay, but the rest of it sucked. It was just generic horror movie music that is pretty much indistinguishable from any other movie. And now getting into the sound effects for when certain characters get killed, it was pretty cartoonish and ridiculous, and when someone gets punched, it never felt as though serious damage was done. It sounded much more cartoonish than it actually was, which was very distracting. But one thing that I really did like in this movie, is that whenever characters are hurt, ignoring the sound effects that are going on, they actually do look like they're in serious pain, and they're going through a lot. And I thought, I forget the actor who plays Michael Myers, like the older version of him in this movie. I thought he did a really good job. Like, he doesn't talk, which is great, and whenever he's walking around, it sounds like it's Michael Myers walking around. Like really loud footsteps, and I thought it was really great. I also kind of want to talk about how this movie was shot. And before I get into anything, this is the only movie I've seen that's directed by Rob Zombie. I'm not familiar with how he directs his movies at all, or edits them together, or anything. I've never seen a Rob Zombie movie ever in my life. This is the first one. And there were some shots that I legitimately hated in this movie. And there are so many shots in the first half that are just way too close. And I just wanted to yell, back up, back up. Like, the camera was like 4 inches away from a character's face. And I'm thinking to myself, what are you doing? Just back it up. It was so bad. And in these moments, it's not like something intense is happening. It's just characters talking. So in the end, Halloween 2007, it's alright, I guess. I had pretty much nothing to say about this movie except negatives, but I think it's a harmless film. It was entertaining throughout, and I enjoyed the violence. So if you like blood and gore, then maybe check this movie out, only if you want to watch all of the Halloween movies. And be one of those people who can say, I've seen all of the Halloween movies. Then I would recommend this movie to you. If you're anything Aside from that, I would not recommend this movie. It doesn't have very well written characters. I didn't care about anyone in this movie. So many choices in this movie that I found to be really weird, and I didn't like how certain things were portrayed, and the movie is a little bit too long, and it just didn't work overall for me, and the music was bad, and I just have nothing else to say about this movie. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Rob Zombie's Halloween a 4 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of Rob Zombie's Halloween, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Warrior, directed by Gavin O'Connor, so look forward to that. But until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.